Have you ever wondered what it would be like to look into a hole in reality? Well, today we're talking about a material that does pretty much exactly that. It's a substance that messes with our eyes and our brains and challenges how we see the world.
Now that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's not. That's a real description of a material called Vantablack. And trust me, the effect it has when you see it is absolutely mind-bending.
So how on earth can a material create the illusion of, well, of nothing? Let's dive right into the seriously bizarre visual properties of this stuff.
Okay, picture this. You take a piece of aluminum foil and crumple it up. You can see all the little ridges, the shadows, the shiny bits, right? Now, imagine coating that exact same crumpled foil in Vantablack. Suddenly, it all just vanishes. Your brain literally can't see any depth or texture. It just registers a flat, black shape, like a cartoon hole has been dropped into the real world.
It really does feel like some kind of magic trick, but it's 100% science. So, how do you do it? How do you actually create something that looks like an absence of something? Let's break down the science.
So here's the secret. Vantablack, which was developed by a British company called Surrey Nanosystems, isn't a paint. It's not a pigment. It's actually a material that's grown on a surface. Think of it like a forest of microscopic carbon nanotubes, all standing up vertically, packed incredibly tightly together.
And here's the crucial part. This tiny forest is unbelievably efficient. It absorbs a staggering 99% of the light that hits it. That means almost no light is bouncing back to your eye, so your brain has no information to work with. That's why we see it as a pure, featureless void.
A good way to think of it is like this. Light is like a tiny bouncy ball. If you throw it at a hard wall, it bounces right back. But if you throw that same ball into a really deep, thick shag carpet, it just gets lost in there. It gets trapped between all the threads and never bounces out. That is exactly what's happening here, just on a microscopic scale. The light gets in, but it never gets out.
Now, a material this weird was obviously going to get the attention of the art world, but this is where our story takes a really controversial turn, one that involves a very famous artist and a pretty shocking business deal.
So, enter Anish Kapoor. He's a huge name, a British Indian artist who looked at Vantablack and saw something incredible. For him, it wasn't just a color. It was a way to create what he calls the non-object. He was totally fascinated by its power to just dematerialize things, to completely mess with our sense of what's there and what isn't.
And here is the bombshell. Kapoor went and struck a deal that gave him the sole artistic rights to Vantablack. Yes, you heard me. One of the most revolutionary materials in modern art was now exclusive to one single artist. You can probably imagine this sent massive waves of disbelief and anger through the art community. But you know, the whole idea of an artist owning a color, is it really that new? To really understand the controversy, we have to look back, because believe it or not, this sort of thing has happened before.
Way back in the 1960s, a French artist named Yves Klein did something really similar. He created this incredibly vibrant, unique ultramarine blue. And to protect what he felt was its purity, he actually patented it. He called it International Klein Blue. So the methods were different. Exclusive rights for Kapoor, a patent for Klein. But the core idea of controlling a color, it's the same thing.
And the connection here is deeper than just business. Both Klein and Kapoor had a very similar motivation. They didn't see their color as just a pigment. They saw it as a gateway to exploring bigger, almost spiritual ideas about what's real and the nature of how we see things.
So it sounds like the case is closed, doesn't it? One artist has a total monopoly on the blackest black. But, you know, the story isn't quite that simple. We gotta look beyond the headlines.
This is the question right at the center of the whole firestorm. Is the ultimate black really off-limits to every other artist on the entire planet?
Well, it turns out the answer is no. And this is the part of the story that often gets lost. Kapoor's deal is exclusive to the brand name Vantablack. He doesn't own the entire technology behind carbon nanotube coatings. Actually, other artists, like a guy named Frederick D. Wild, are already using similar super black materials that were developed with places like NASA and Rice University.
As one writer cleverly put it, there's plenty of black at the bottom, it seems. In other words, the world of ultra black is way bigger than just one artist or one brand. The science is out there, and people are going to keep innovating.
And that really leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. This whole story forces us to ask, in a world with all these new technologies, should an artist be able to claim exclusive rights to something as basic as a color? Where do we draw that line between innovation and ownership? It's a tough one, and there are no easy answers.